fire warning to Turkey by imposing new sanctions for these ruthless attacks in northern Syria.
The United States of America is simply not going to tolerate Turkey's invasion of Syria any further. And we're calling on Syria to stand down, to end the violence, and come to the negotiating table.
Joining us live is one of the co-sponsors of those sanctions, Indiana Congressman Jim Banks. Sir, thank you for your time this morning. Let's talk about these sanctions and how do you think that this is going to be the answer, that this is going to help the situation over there?
It's the first step. I applaud the President, Vice President Pence, from taking these first steps in enacting devastating sanctions on the Turkish economy. And the Congress stands ready to pass even tougher sanctions than the administration is unilaterally applying as well. We go back to work in session today, and sanctions on Turkey will be one of the top items on the congressional plate.
Statement from the president here. The United States will aggressively use economic sanctions to target those who enable, facilitate, and finance these heinous acts in Syria. I am fully prepared to swiftly destroy Turkey's economy if Turkish leaders continue down this dangerous and destructive path. Sir, the question has to be asked, why did they allow this to happen in the first place? We're now at a point where just a couple days later we have to turn around and apply sanctions, which was supposed to be kind of a worst-case scenario for the president in this thing.
I certainly don't accuse the president of causing these what's going on in Syria to happen any more than I do you or I. I mean, this is a recipe there that's been going on for 400 years. That being said,
by moving people out of the way, I think the reason Turkey hadn't done this before was because there was Americans in there. You don't want to pick a fight with the U.S.
That's right. We had 50 troops there. The president moved those troops around, and that was the pulling the pin out of the grenade, if you will. So now that we have the situation on our hands that we do, the president is doing everything that he can to contain it. That's what must be done. That's what we've heard in recent days. That's what these sanctions are the first step in doing, and that's what we need to focus on at this point moving forward. The Turkish military is no match for the USA, and that's the posture that the president has to project. Sanctions today, military action next if the Turks don't back off.
Let's take a look at this statement here. This is from Nancy Pelosi. She partnered with Lindsey Graham on this, and this says, quote, pleased to have a conversation with Senator Lindsey Graham this morning. Our first order of business was to agree that we must have a bipartisan, bicameral joint resolution to overturn the president's dangerous decision in Syria immediately. I mean, sir, you have people on both sides of the aisle who were completely up in arms when this was announced, and as Rob mentioned, now we're kind of having to backtrack a little bit, it seems. You mentioned this is the first step. Where do we go from here? What's the next step?
Well, we need to see first how the Turks react to these sanctions. Vice President Pence will be sent to the region to try to negotiate something moving forward. We'll see where that goes. That needs to happen quickly. But once again, the president must project a posture of American strength. The Turks are no match for the United States of America, and if we have to boost troops, send troops to the region to bring and contain the situation further, we will need to do that. But first, the sanctions come first, and these sanctions, I guarantee you, will wreak havoc on the Turkish economy and create a good reason for them to pay attention and back off.
Let's move to impeachment here for a second. What do you think of the move by Democrats to keep these hearings, in private? They don't want to put this out in the public.
It says everything that you need to know. My friend and colleague Matt Gaetz, representative from Florida, who's on the Judiciary Committee, by the way, the committee who has jurisdiction for the impeachment process, tried to attend the private held hearing yesterday and was rejected and told to leave. That just shows you everything that you need to know. The Democrats are making up the rules of this impeachment process as they go, and that should be concerning to every American. I don't have a lot of friends, but I have a few friends back home in Indiana who don't like this president. They won't vote for him again, but even they know that this president so far has not been indicted of high crimes and misdemeanors, and that's the justification for impeachment, not this make-it-up-as-you-go process that's in search of reasons to impeach the president.
Congressman Banks, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Have a good day.
Great to be with you.